Welcome to Soundbreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Chantel Epp, who is the founder of ClicknClear. I like the name, ClicknClear.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, Chantel, would you mind introduce yourself and a bit about your background before we dive into it? Because we're going to talk about what motivated you, what got you started, go all the way back to your teenage years till now. So first, introduce yourself, and then we'll dive into it.
Yeah, so I'm Chantal and I'm the founder and CEO of ClicknClear. I basically founded the company after cheerleading was sued by a major label, and at the time I was working in music licensing. But I'm also a world champion cheerleader and have a music production company that makes music mixes for sports. So I was perfectly placed to create a solution for the problem. I've had a background in music basically my entire life. I've played instruments, piano, violin, guitar. Did all of the music stuff at school, and always wanted to work in the music industry, and went to university, studied music, and also that's where I started doing cheerleading. Learnt my first back tuck when I think I was about 23 or 22, so you can still do it. Having had no background in gymnastics or anything like that before. And it was there at university where I started to be able to mix together my passions between music and cheerleading, which later then led me to creating ClicknClear. So it's been quite a fun and exciting, challenging journey.
Amazing. Well, I mean, it's a pretty interesting background you have, you know, from cheerleading to into music school. How does whole thing combine together? Like, what really got you motivated and influenced you to take that path? First, the cheerleading, and to be a cheerleader, you have to be physically fit. You know, you have to have certain gymnastics and certain background and certain, acrobat. The physique has to be good. Obviously, it's all about the mindset. And how does all came together from athletics and cheerleading to music and creative side.
Yeah, so I mean, I think and I've talked about this previously online about how being a cheerleader or a high level athlete impacts your mindset and your ability to be a successful founder,
Correct.
and run a company and kind of face challenges, come up with solutions, and be resilient. So yeah, I mean, uh, when I started cheerleading, I didn't really have much experience in gymnastics or anything similar to cheerleading. I've always kind of cycled through different sports, fell in love with it, and I think it's because it mixed that sort of performative side of what I love doing in terms of playing music to doing physical activity, and I've always enjoyed doing physical activity. We always add a bit of sparkle. So yeah, I fell in love with it, and it was at university when I started making music mixes to accompany their routines. I was captain of the squad. So my coach said, "Hey, you should make some music to accompany our routine," and got into the world of mixing music and producing music. But then later on, I started working in licensing, and I was working for a company that was founded by Peter Gabriel, and which was called Q Songs, and we were licensing music into online and digital media. And sadly, that company went into administration, and the assets later got bought. But during that time, cheerleading got sued, and I saw there was this opportunity to solve a problem, and I knew exactly how to do it.
Why
And
they got sued? Sorry to interrupt,
for
but why they got?
so they got cheerleading got sued for illegally editing and adapting music into a mix to accompany their routines.
Got it.
And
Got it.
basically, I was doing that. I was editing and adapting music, and I went to PRS and they gave me a license, and I can't remember, I think it was a LOML license or whatever it was. And I knew at the time that wasn't covering what I needed, but there was no solution to the problem. And knowing licensing, I knew there was no way of doing it. So when the lawsuit happened, the governing body released a statement saying you need to license music, commercial music, if you're using commercial music in your routines. And I knew there was no way to do that. And so that is why I started ClicknClear and what led me to starting ClicknClear. And to give a bit of background about the company, we are a music rights tech and licensing company solving copyright infringement issues across choreographed sports that where music is integral to the routine, like dance, gymnastics, figure skating, cheerleading, and so on. And we have global blanket licenses with the major labels and music publishers, as well as thousands of others, to make their music available for the specialist set of rights that are needed. And then we work with international sports federations to educate, license, and verify music rights. And
Hmm.
we work with a number of sports. We work with the Olympics, the International Gymnastics Federation, the International Skating Union, and others to implement our unique suite of technology, which includes rights management, managing all of the fragmentation of music rights from rights holders. We have a licensing platform, which is a marketplace for athletes to instantly license the music that they need. And over 1 billion licenses are needed a year. So it's not something that can be handled on a case by case basis. And then finally, we have our verification system, which is our technology to help verify and enforce copyright. So it
Hmm.
gets implemented at competitions like Summer Olympics in Paris to check that athletes are properly licensing the music. So yeah, it's kind of my background led to where I am today and starting ClicknClear, which is continuing to grow, and we work
What about
internationally.
such? What about such? I mean, right now you see these massive cycling classes. I know I've seen them in Miami. They do it on the roof, and they use a lot of familiar and popular, famous music. And in New York, they do them on the roofs, like an open roof with a class of 50, 60 people doing cycling. Are those also a lot of these classes, famous classes now? Um, they have the licensing for such music and all that for their sets.
So generally, those organizations, when they're running a class in a public
Yeah,
space, they need to get a
yeah.
performing rights license,
Uh-huh.
and that's usually through the local collecting society in
Like
the
ASCAP
country.
or
Yeah,
Sound Exchange or
yeah,
BMI. Okay.
exactly. Wherever they are. Here in the UK, it's PRS and
Yeah,
PPL.
yeah.
The difference with what the
Correct.
sports that we're working with are doing is they're not just playing music in a public space. They've got athletes who are choosing music to accompany a piece of choreographed
Yeah.
routine. They're editing and adapting that music into like a medley
And
of
they're
music.
online. And they put up online also.
There is
So there's a
there is an online
posting.
element. It's kind of
Yeah.
complicated. Yes, there is an online element. It's something that we do also
Because you'll
solve.
see it on TikTok, you'll see it
But
on Instagram Reels and and all of
yeah,
that.
so
Shorts, yeah.
the social media use, if it's user generated content, then that's covered. But if it's them posting that as a team or as an organization, they need a
Hmm.
license for those online social media rights.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, which is a whole nother problem. But yeah, so it's for cheerleading competitions, they still require a performing rights license for the venue, but the athletes themselves need to edit and adapt the music to accompany their routines.
Let's go back a bit where you saw the niche and the need for music into cheerleading, and you created, I think, what's the name of the mix company you created first?
Oh, Synergy Sounds.
Synergy Sound. Yes,
Yeah.
you created Synergy Sound, which really specialized in creative mixes. And I'm sure you had quite a success with it because there's a need for it. And I mean, there's always a need for music in all sports. You cannot watch a game and any type of sports without music is part of sports, part of fashion, sports, and everything, you know. So, how did you find the need for it? It's like, hey, you know what? There's a need, it's missing, and I'm going to capture on it and capitalize on it and create, your own company for it.
For Synergy Sounds.
Yeah, yeah. How did this
Yeah.
whole thing come together
So
with creating Synergy Sound?
that was at university, and it actually was part of my coursework, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
So I spent a year and a half at university learning about cheerleading and mixing music. And I did it sort of, I always wanted to own my own company. And I did it as a way to teach me how to do that,
Hmm.
how to
Hmm.
build a company and start something and create a way of marketing it to people. And yeah, it was pretty successful. It did sort of help me survive whilst I was out of work for a little bit. And when I took the deep dive into running Click and Clear full time, that was how I supported myself financially. So it was great. But yeah, it really came out of not so much of a need, but identifying there being a big market there. That one really came from a project at university, and I had local connections with various different teams, so it was quite easy to start building something.
Hmm. Um, so once you started clicking clear, obviously you started to see a lot of the issues and problem with licensing and some of the the smaller athletic organizations and the bigger ones, obviously. And so clicking clear specialize in just athletic licenses or all type of licenses, like anything to do with sports and sports organizations and all of that.
Yeah, we currently specifically focus on sports that use music as part of their routines. So dance, gymnastics, artistic swimming, dressage, etc. But
Classes,
there
what
is
about classes in gyms and all of that?
not so
Or
much
those
fitness classes and gyms because that's usually covered under a collecting
their own?
society. And then, of course, they need to make sure that they're using music from a professional streaming platform for business.
Mm, mm.
Um, but when it comes to the online piece, that I don't want to talk about it too much publicly
It's
yet.
okay.
But yeah,
You don't
we
have
have
to.
other areas that we are expanding into.
Amazing, amazing. And what's next for Click and Clear?
So we've already got deals with a number of sports federations to help protect them against copyright infringement risk and to ensure that artists are getting paid for their work. So for us, it's driving that down more on a national level, working with sports in every single country at their local competitions, not just international competitions. And then we have got a really exciting project where we're expanding our verification technology into um, video on demand, and we have new opportunities there. So it's really all about growing and expanding into other areas. We believe that our technology can be applied to other verticals within music to help continue to increase the pie and close the monetization gap between music and its other entertainment verticals. And so, yeah, we're really keen on identifying those white spaces and finding that new revenue for artists and writers.
Amazing. Click and Clear based out of the UK, and
Yes.
is the aim going internationally? The rest of Europe, US, North America, South America, Middle East, Dubai, a lot of these places right now is pretty metropolitan and all type of licensing and events happening.
Whilst we're based in the UK, we actually have people licensing music from over 100 countries. So we're
Amazing.
already very international. And that's just because of the nature of international sport. It We work with the countries in which participate in those sports.
Any of the major leagues you guys work with?
Yeah, so in terms of sports, we're not working so
Correct.
much with like major league sports like football or baseball or anything like that, though that is in our pipeline. We are very much focusing on the sports like dressage and artistic swimming and so on, where they're using music as part of their routine. So that what we
You say
call,
dressage? You say dressage?
yeah, like dressage,
For
yeah.
horses. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, dancing on
Oh,
horses. And even
yes,
with
yes.
skydiving,
Amazing.
which is
Yes.
um, kind of floating in a wind tunnel and doing beautiful twists and spins and this whole routine. So lots of really cool, interesting, different sports that are performative.
Dressage. I
Um,
haven't heard that. I used to go to watch a lot of these events and in Europe, but I haven't heard that there's actually licensing involved for that, for such events. I mean, there are major events. Would they win a word? They travel. Where
yeah,
are the biggest dressage? I wouldn't say community, but competition take place. I heard a place in Mexico called where in Mexico? Oof, it's a really beautiful town.
yeah, I'm not. They have competitions happen. They actually have a continuous season, so they don't
Yes.
like stop and start like most of the other sports, and
Uh,
they have competitions happening all around,
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Wow.
The
So
largest
pretty busy
competition
with
we've,
that.
yeah, the largest competition we've done was obviously the Olympics, and that was in Paris. But
Uh-huh.
we have hundreds of events that are in our system
All
from
over Europe, in
Qatar
Germany, in the
to,
UK, and
yeah,
Switzerland, everywhere,
yeah,
Spain,
literally
even in Dubai, I
Croatia,
think, in
Belgium.
Bahrain. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's everywhere.
unbelievable.
So, which can sometimes be a challenge because music rights aren't always available in all of the countries. Um, and it
So
depends.
Click and Clear is the company to go to for a lot of these events. They come to you.
Yes, yes. So each of the athletes come to us to clear the music to accompany their routines.
Yes. I know I interrupted you earlier. You were talking about you're not working with the major league, but you're working for certain sports like dressage, and you mentioned others also. If
Yes.
you can, yes, if you can give us some also
Some other
some light
examples,
on
yeah.
those.
So,
Yeah.
gymnastics, all of the gymnastics, figure
Gymnastics is
skating.
massive. It's huge.
Yeah,
Figure
huge.
skating.
Again,
Yes.
all around the
Yes.
world. Figure
Yes.
skating. I was just at the World Championships last week. We were running a workshop on music licensing, and I went to their European Championships, which was in Estonia. So yeah, it really is everywhere. And these events are happening everywhere, and we are working with all of those athletes to ensure that their music is licensed. And we have got licenses where they can license it for all available countries. And then if they're only competing in one country, they can purchase a license for just one country. So we try to be flexible in that respect, but it completely depends on the combination of music rights, because we can have something delivered that a rights holder only owns in the US and Canada and nowhere else, and you have to find who else owns it in the rest of the world.
Such sports events and all of that. Any of these, they start pivoting towards AI generated music, so they don't have to get involved in all that clearance, or still everybody wants familiar music with leading artists that gives the motivation, the happiness, the smile, the memory. So it kind of, when you hear that song, it attaches a memory to it. Like, yeah, I saw that event when so and so doing figure skating or dressage or gymnastic or this and that.
Yeah, the question has come up from
Yes.
athletes, and
Yes.
ultimately, I mean, so far we haven't had anyone submit an AI generated piece of music through our verification system. That will probably change. We probably will. But the whole, like, music is integral to these routines. So if the music isn't good or isn't something that people can connect with or um, relate to, then
Yes.
it's going to impact their performance. And on each of the scoring grids for each one of these sports, there is how music is synced up with the routine as a criteria, and the
Yes. Yes.
overall kind of performance, the feel and look of the
Yes.
routine. And if you, it's like when you have a movie and you play a funny over a funny piece of footage,
Yes.
you play sad music, it completely changes the emotion of it. So if
Absolutely.
the AI generated music can't produce that,
No.
then yeah, it's less of a problem. And I really feel like unless AI generated music starts hitting the top 40s charts, then I feel like we're not going to have people requesting, wanting to use that, or even that
I
being
mean, I could
part of
see
it.
AI music for background. I could see
Yes.
that
Yeah,
for
like
certain
production
back.
music.
Yes, for
Yeah,
stores, for certain things, for malls and shopping centers. But still, even certain stores, they want certain music for the emotional connection. Because when you shop and walk in, it's all about emotions, how you feel. It's all about a mood. You could
yeah,
be broke. It's like, I'm going to put, I don't care. I'm going to buy this. I
yeah,
want it. It's all about the music and the
yeah. And then
connection that creates.
there is still also a concern that the AI generated piece of music is infringing copyright. We have had
Correct.
someone request a piece of music that was partially generated with AI, and it turns out it had the final countdown in it. Well,
Wow.
the AI just recreated the final countdown.
Unbelievable.
Clearly,
Yes. Yes.
that's a
Yes.
copyright infringement
It
issue,
is.
and
Yeah.
those rights holders could come
Well,
after us.
companies like you, ClicknClear, who's been advocating and really protecting artists and protecting the music business and its integrity as a whole. I've been in the business for, I don't want to reveal how long. It makes me feel I'm really old, but I'd say it. I've been in music for almost 30 years old, 30 years. And I tell you, people like you, an organization like yourself, Click and Clear, obviously it really empowering artists and also, how should I say, putting their foot down and putting the solid foundation that the music business is not going anywhere. We do need music. We love artists. We support all our artists because, great generative AI music. Great. This is part of technology. We're going to advance and things going to happen. Certain things we're going to like and we're not going to like. We're just going to have to adapt and work around it and use it to our benefit. But yes, music is very important. It's part of our life. It's in sports, it's in movies, if it's in fashion, it's everywhere. You'll never see a fashion show without music. Music actually and fashion work together. It really kind of literally dictate the next designs happening,
Yeah,
what movement in music happening, and what has that relate to fashion. The same thing in sports, you know. And yes, absolutely. And Click and Clear, amazing organization. Definitely your background,
thank
it
you.
helped create such an impact and a great place. And as a female in tech, I'm always advocating towards that. Congratulations to you, Chantel. Yes. As a young female entrepreneur, also an athlete yourself, um, what advice you have for other young female entrepreneurs and other young male entrepreneurs who going to watch this interview or already heard of you or read an article about you and get inspired? What would you advise them? They want to come into the music business. Like, all right, you know what? No, the music business is not over. It's all this noise and nonsense about AI is taking over. No, that's only noise, rubbish, as they say in the UK. And
Yeah.
and how do you what's your advice to them to kind of navigate through that and rise up?
Yeah, I think in the music industry in particular, I think there are a lot of opportunities still.
Hmm.
We haven't always adopted technology as an industry, and
Hmm.
so we really need to work together with
Hmm.
technology and use it to our advantage. And I think that will really help us open up new revenue opportunities because it's really through tech enabled solutions that we can grow music industry revenue and ensure that artists are getting rightfully paid.
Hmm.
So yeah, as kind of budding entrepreneurs looking to get started, I always just go for it. You know, if you've identified a problem and you can really see that there is a problem and you've gone and you've done the research to check that there is a problem, you've had conversations with people in the industry,
Hmm.
um, just give it a shot. You know, you yes, you don't really have too much to lose. You might regret it if you don't. So always give it a go.
Anything that you would like to say in regard to Click and Clear and a project that you're working on and you want to introduce it this year on Soundbreaker for our viewers and listeners before we end this amazing, inspiring interview?
I don't like to share too much. I always believe that success is silent.
Oh, always. But
um,
get people a teaser and
yeah,
get them excited a bit on Click
yeah.
and Clear.
We will hopefully have some really exciting news coming out, which is basically increasing our catalogue quite significantly. It's been a deal I've been working on for a really long time, but I can't announce that yet. Outside of that, we have got a really cool tool for athletes to help them with creating their music mixes that's coming out in the next few months as well. And we are expanding, as I have kind of hinted to already, that we are expanding into the video on demand market, expanding our verification technology to help tackle copyright infringement issues and help uh, video on demand services identify copyright infringement risk and provide them with the tools and ways to solve those problems. So that is all in the pipeline, and we're already working on it.
You mentioned Click and Clear going to be working with athletes, help them create their own mixes. That's going to be B2C
Yeah, I
side
guess
of.
that is kind of B2C. Yeah, it's really just an extension of what we've already got. So
Mhm.
they will, instead of going off platform and using your usual free tools, we've created a sport specific tool
Wow.
to help them, which is really exciting. It was part of a Innovate UK grant, which is a government UK grant giving organisation that we won
Hmm.
a little while ago now, but it's just taken us a little bit longer to get it looking and feeling the way that I wanted it to.
So if I give classes, let's say aerobic classes, cycling classes, I could come into Click and Clear and create my own mix and use it for my own classes. I mean, obviously, I'll have a membership with you guys. I'll have to pay for that, so I wouldn't have to worry. My royalties are paid through my membership through Click and Clear.
So
Or
we're less focused on classes and more for the individual athletes and coaches who are finding music and editing that music for their routine. Yeah, there's scope for us to expand it, but initially, it's to enable them to just quickly and easily create that mix of music through the platform, and then easily submit that through the verification system.
Well, exciting. A lot of exciting stuff coming up. So we'll be on the lookout. If anybody want to get a hold of you, Chantel, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Email,
Can always,
LinkedIn.
always get me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. I do respond to all those requests on LinkedIn, and I'm the only one of me, Chantal Epp, on LinkedIn. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
I've got an unusual
yes.
name, so yeah, you can always just reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect there.
Amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you for being on coming to Soundbreaker and enlighten us about your latest venture, Click and Clear. Very amazing. And I would advise everybody to check it out. Again, thank you, Chantel. And this concludes today's episode of Soundbreaker. Please make sure to follow us on social media and stay tuned for our next episode. Chantel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.